You're lying in bed. It's 2 a.m. The room is dark, the house is quiet, and everyone around you is fast asleep. But not you. Because your brain, your wonderfully exhausting brain, has decided that right now, at this exact moment, is the perfect time to replay every awkward conversation you've had in the last decade, calculate every possible way tomorrow could go wrong, and remind you of that one thing you said in 2016 that literally nobody else remembers but you. Sound familiar? If it does, you're not broken. You're not weird. You're not just an anxious person. You are, in fact, deeply, perfectly human. And today, we're going to talk about why your brain does this, why it constantly drags you toward the worst possible version of the future, and what's actually happening inside your head when it does. Let's start with someone. Let's call her Priya. Priya is smart, kind, hardworking. She just sent an important email to her boss with a proposal she worked on for 2 weeks. The moment she hit send, something shifted in her chest. A small knot, and then the thoughts started. What if he thinks it's stupid? What if I misunderstood the whole brief? What if he forwards it to the team and they laugh? What if this is the email that ends my career? Within 4 minutes of sending a work email, Priya had already attended her own professional funeral in her mind. Does Priya sound like someone you know? Or does Priya sound like you? Here's the thing nobody tells you. Your brain was never designed to make you happy. It was designed to keep you alive. Think about it. Go back thousands of years. Your ancestors were living in a world full of actual threats. Predators, poisonous plants, rival tribes, starvation. The humans who survived weren't the ones who skipped through the forest thinking, I'm sure everything will be fine. The ones who survived were the ones who assumed the worst. The ones who heard a rustle in the bushes and immediately thought, lion, instead of probably just the wind. That instinct got passed down to you, generation after generation after generation. Your brain inherited this ancient alarm system, what psychologists call negativity bias, which means your brain gives far more weight to potential threats than to potential rewards. It scans every situation, every conversation, every unanswered text message, and it asks one question before anything else. What could go wrong here? The problem, your brain cannot tell the difference between a lion in the bushes and an email you haven't gotten a reply to yet. To your nervous system, both feel like a matter of survival. Now let's talk about someone else. Meet Daniel. Daniel has a doctor's appointment next Thursday, a routine checkup, nothing alarming, but the moment he booked it, his mind went somewhere dark. He's been Googling symptoms at midnight. He's convinced himself that the slight headache he had last Tuesday is something serious. He's already started imagining how he'd tell his family. He's mentally rewriting his life around a diagnosis he doesn't have and a doctor he hasn't even seen yet. This is called catastrophizing, and it is one of the most common mental patterns that humans fall into, especially the deeply thoughtful, deeply caring, deeply feeling ones. Catastrophizing isn't stupidity, it isn't weakness, it's actually a form of mental preparation. Somewhere deep inside, Daniel's brain believes that if he imagines the worst, he won't be caught off guard by it. If he rehearses the pain before it arrives, maybe it won't hurt as much when it does. But here's the heartbreaking part. The pain he's experiencing right now, this week, before the appointment, before any bad news, before anything has even happened, that pain is real. He is suffering through something that doesn't exist yet, and may never exist.
And then there's Arav. Arav is about to go on a first date. He's excited, or at least he was excited for about 45 seconds. Then the spiral began. What if I say something stupid? What if there's an awkward silence? What if she thinks I'm boring? What if I laugh weirdly? What if the restaurant is bad? What if I chose the wrong restaurant? What if I am fundamentally unlovable and this date is just further evidence of that? In 45 seconds, Arav went from excited to existentially defeated. And here's what's wild. The date hasn't happened yet. It might go wonderfully, but his brain won't let him experience that possibility because possibility feels unsafe. Certainty, even bad certainty, feels like control. This is the cruel trick that worst-case thinking plays on us. It disguises itself as preparation, as responsibility, as being a realistic person in an unrealistic world. People who catastrophize often believe they're just being smart, just being careful, just not getting their hopes up. But psychologists have a different name for this pattern when it becomes constant: anticipatory anxiety. Your brain gets so locked into imagining future threats that it starts treating the imagination of danger as danger itself. Your cortisol rises, your heart beats faster, your muscles tense, your body enters fight or flight mode for a future that is entirely made up. You are, quite literally, stressing yourself out over a movie that only plays inside your own head. So what do you do with a brain like this? You don't fight it. You don't shame it. You don't tell yourself to just stop being negative, because that has never worked for anyone in the history of human psychology, and it won't start working today. Instead, you learn to talk back to it. When your brain says everything is going to fall apart, you gently ask, is that a fact or is that a fear? When it says this is definitely going to end badly, you ask, what's the actual evidence? And what's the evidence that it might be okay? You start to notice the pattern. You start to name it. Ah, there's my brain doing the thing again. And in that moment of recognition, that tiny pause between the thought and the belief, that's where your power lives. Because here's the truth that worst-case thinkers need to hear more than anything else. The fact that you feel things so deeply, that you care so much about outcomes, that you lie awake running through every possible scenario, that's not a flaw. That's a form of love. Love for your relationships, love for your work, love for your life. Your brain imagines the worst because it desperately wants things to be good. You just have to remind it, gently and often, that good things are also allowed to actually happen.